Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to our event today. My name's Leah Ellis, and as the chair of the Merseytravel Unison Branch Equality and Diversity Working Group, I'd like to welcome you here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to meet you all, and thank you very much for inviting me to come along to speak today. I mean, it's great to see this group being established, and I'm really looking forward to working with you going forward. I'll introduce myself. So I work at the Combined Authority. I'm head of Mayoral Programme Delivery, and in my day job, I deliver on lots of different projects and programmes across the region. But in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder earlier this year, as a Black woman and an employee, I felt like I had to do something. So I wanted to take on a role really within my organisation to make a change in equality. So I spoke with Steve, the Metro Mayor, initially, and our Chief Executive, Lorna Rogers, to talk about some of the issues and some of the things that I think we needed to do as an organisation to lead the way on making a change. And they very much supported me. I've also had support from the other leaders and chief execs across the region and lots of colleagues. So I've been, overwhelmed really by the amount of support that I've been given to take forward some of this really important work on what we need to do to make a change. I'm very passionate about making a change. This is my city. I was born here. I, experienced lots of racism when I was a child, like Roger gave some examples. I've got lots of stories that I could share, but I think, racism is still very much there, albeit it may have changed in its guise of how it kind of presents itself today, but it's still very much there and something that we need to tackle, and we need to do it together. So I kind of, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work with colleagues who are here today to try and do some of that. I think George Floyd kind of woke the world up to what's been happening for a long time. For me, it felt like people started to understand what the inequalities were and how racism was kind of impacting on our world. And I don't know whether it's COVID, like was discussed before, people have got more time to reflect and to think. COVID's turned all our worlds upside down as well. So I think we've all had a roller coaster of emotions for what's been happening this year. It's definitely, impacted us all in different ways. But it does feel to me like it's a bit of a different time to try and make a change. I think there's a lot more people who are talking openly about racism, even on the TV. I noticed on Sky Sports and Britain's Got Talent and all of that media coverage, people are having some of these honest conversations, and I think that's really important, and that's something I've noticed that's different. It shocked me, to be honest, to see the number of people who are openly starting to talk about this and all of the issues and wanting to make a difference. Obviously, we've still got the threat of the far right, and that's something that we need to challenge and always be aware of. But in terms of my role and what we're trying to do at the Combined Authority and with the local authorities, we've set up a number of groups to try and develop a programme of work, very much focusing on the economic equality that we need to see. So Anna mentioned this about it being really important that we address, and so did Kim, in terms of workforce diversity. So we're looking at 3 different areas of work. We're looking at the Combined Authority as an employer and what we need to do to diversify our workforce, because we're not representative of the communities that we serve. We're also looking at us as a commissioner and how we spend our money and how we can leverage our procurement and supply chain diversity. And we're also looking at ourselves as a civic leader and how we can influence and encourage others to do the same and to do what's right in terms of equality and diversity. So I'm not going to talk about the stats, because I know, Roger and Steve mentioned all the statistics. I think we've got lots of data, we've got lots of research that's been done. We don't need to do that anymore. I think what we need to do is take some action and implement some of the recommendations of some of that work that's been done, and to sitting on shelves gathering dust. So I'm very much about developing solutions in collaboration with communities and with partners and stakeholders. It does need a whole system change. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like Leah said, it's going to be a long time before we see some of the kinds of, the benefits of some of this work that we need to do. But we need to do it together. So some of the things that we're doing internally as an organisation, we're reviewing our recruitment practices. We're looking at our learning and development and how we can be better in this space, and how we can be more transparent about our data and the actions that we need to take to become a more diverse workforce. We've also got our Build Back Better plan, which has inclusion and fairness threaded throughout it. And I think, you know, in order for us to do this, we need to highlight them inequalities and look at the opportunities to address them. And as I said, we've got opportunities with social value, with our public procurement, making sure we engage with communities and understand what the challenges are and what we need to do differently. And I think creating jobs, which obviously is going to be difficult in the current climate, but where we are doing this, we need to make sure that they're accessible to Black people. And we talked a little bit, you know, Kim mentioned about positive action. We're looking at how could we make a sustainable positive action programme work across the city region to try and level up. But I think all of this needs a lot of hard work, it needs commitment, it needs accountability, and it needs strong leadership. So we need to make sure that all of our leaders and decision makers step up to this and help us drive this agenda forward. The Combined Authority is also undertaking an equalities audit, just for information if people don't know. So that's looking at all equalities groups, that'll come out with a number of recommendations of what we need to do to improve. So the work that I'm doing is just focusing on race, but there is other work going on across the other equality groups within the organisation. We will be issuing a declaration of intent very shortly, and I think that's to outline our ambition, our commitment, and what actions we want to take so we can be transparent to people on the work that we're trying to do around improving race equality. So if anyone wants to get involved or has got any further questions, I'm very happy for people to get in touch with me directly. I'm happy to talk it through. Thanks, Leah.
Oh, thank you, Lorna. Obviously, we've worked a little together already, so I know a little bit about the work that you're doing, but I think it's probably quite new to some of the people who are watching today. So I think it'll probably lead to a lot more questions. But I think the work that you're leading on is much needed, and I'm sure that you'll do the best job at leading that. I think one thing that you said at the start really rang true to me when you said that I think the murder of George Floyd kind of woke up the world. I think to add to that, it's because we live in a world of social media now, don't we? And I think, you know, uncomfortably, you know, we see these murders in our own homes. You know, we see them in the palms of our hands. It's difficult to escape these kind of actions. And I think it did wake the world up. And I think it's led to more empathy than perhaps some people had before, and more of an understanding. But it isn't, I think a few people have said so far today, it isn't just those kind of grotesque murders, it's everyday racism that people are experiencing. But race aside, it's everyday discrimination that people of all walks of life and demographics are facing. So I think it's brilliant that the organisation is addressing the kind of race equality agenda. I just hope that as a Unison group we can push the organisation to look at all areas of the Equality Act and to make sure that we do more than just our legal kind of mandatory duties to protect the rights of all individuals. I think it's fair to say that we've heard some absolutely fantastic speeches today. And I'm thrilled at the prospect that I and the group and the union can work together with the people that have spoken today, and that we can hopefully achieve great things for our organisation, city, region and beyond. You know, it's very easy to be self-critical. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed. But, you know, I think it's fair to say that we are all fighting the good fight. We're all here for the right reasons and we all have the best intentions.